Good day, everyone. Today we will be discussing about curriculum evaluation. Before we start, let me introduce myself. I am Rosita Arioyo, PhD in Educational Management. Before we proceed, let me share with you this quote. The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. This is according to William Arthur Ward, and I'm sure we know where we belong. We will talk about evaluation and curriculum evaluation. There are several terms synonymous to evaluation, just like, for example, this listed on the screen. According to Ornstein and Hankin, evaluation is synonymous with assessment. It involves value judgment as to merit and worth. This judgment affects which data we gather and how we view those data. Evaluation requires of educators' action to judge the appropriateness of both their and students' action. In evaluating students' learning, educators often give tests that assess what educators consider important. Teachers critique the quality of their teaching, often by viewing videotapes of an instructional session. The nature and purpose of evaluation. Pellegrino, Chodowski, and Glaser view assessment as a process of reasoning from evidence. The first question in this process is, evidence about what? Data interpretation is possible only when we understand what we are attempting to do and know what standards we want students to meet. This figure shows the process of reasoning from evidence in curriculum evaluation. This is adapted from James W. Pellegrino, Noemi Chudowski, and Robert Glaser. In the interpretation stage of curriculum evaluation, educators draw on their assumptions about curriculum and cognition. They process data into evidence regarding the curriculum success. At the classroom level, interpretation tends to be informal and qualitative, including interpretation regarding teachers' instructional approaches. At the district level, interpretation tends to be more formal, but it still can be qualitative rather than quantitative or employing a statistical model. Often, district-level interpretation is both qualitative and quantitative. Interpretation implicitly draws on theories of testing, statistical models of data analysis, and theories of decision-making. Evaluation must remain connected to the totality of curricular activities. Evaluators first must ask themselves what aspects of the curriculum they wish to evaluate and what types of learning will receive focus. Then, must determine which means of data gathering best suit one or more particular goals of the curriculum. Which question will furnish the data desired for interpretation? Catherine Taylor and Susan Nolan note that teachers first engage in assessment to gather information about students' understanding and skills. Such information is gathered via various procedures so that teachers can decide what to teach and the manner of teaching and student engagement. Essentially, this is the view that assessment is a process of reasoning from evidence. They must determine the individual's degrees of success in processing particular content and concepts. Definition of evaluation. Evaluation is a process whereby people gather data in order to make decisions. Blaine Warthen and James Sanders define evaluation as the formal determination of the quality, effectiveness, or value of a program, product, project, process, objective, or curriculum. Evaluation includes inquiry and judgment methods, determining standards for judging quality and deciding whether those standards should be relative or absolute, collecting relevant information, and applying the standards to determine quality. Abby Brown and Timothy Green define evaluation as the process of judging based on gathered data, the success level of the individual's learning, or a product's effectiveness. According to Norbert Seal and Sean Dijkstra, evaluation furnishes data that enable us to compare worth or value of two or more programs. It provides a basis for selecting programs or determining whether they should be continued. Daniel Staffelbeam has defined evaluation as the process of delineating, obtaining, and providing useful information for judging decision alternatives. Colin Mars and George Willis indicate that evaluation permeates all human activity. It deals with questions such as, is something worth doing? How well is it being done? Do I like doing it? Should I spend my time doing something else? Measurement versus evaluation. According to Fred Gerlinger, measurement is defined as assigning numerals to objects or events according to rules, while evaluation assigns value and meaning to measurement. For example, an evaluator might decide that a score of 70% correct answers means passing or a successful performance. There are several approaches to evaluation. Just like, for example, scientific approach, humanistic approach, utilitarian approach, intuitionist approach, intrinsic approach, and payoff approach. Let us define scientific versus humanistic. Scientific approach take a behavioristic prescriptive or sequence approach to evaluation, while in humanistic approach, humanist, postmodernist shun the thrust of modernity's search for truth and certainty. According to scientific approach, they believe strongly in cause and effect position in explaining the physics of the world and the exactitude of their actions in various endeavors, in our case, the development, implementation, and evaluation of curricula and instructional strategies. While in humanistic approach, they realize that evaluation cannot provide educators with precise results of students' learnings after experiencing various curricula and teaching strategies. Postmodernists shun employing scientific and precise measures of evaluation. Still in scientific approach, this modernist approach evaluation specifying specific behaviors of content learned as a result of curriculum and instruction. While in humanistic approach, they engage in the art of interpretation, and they denote that their methods involve intersubjective communication and answerability. Still in scientific approach, they favor utilizing standardized tests to measure the attainment of learning objectives, while in humanistic approach, they rely less on statistical methodologies, preferring methods such as aesthetics, ethnography, autobiography, phenomenology, critical literacy, and various forms of heuristics. And now let's proceed to utilitarian versus intuitionist. Utilitarian evaluation operates according to the premise that the greatest good is that which benefit the greatest number of individuals. While in intuitionist approach, evaluators gather data to judge the program's impact on individuals or small groups. Still in utilitarian approach, evaluators look at large group, such as an entire school or school district. Attention is on total group performances. Programs are judged by how they affect the school overall student population. Programs that allow the most students to attain the objectives are judged worthy of continuation. While in intuitionist approach, there is no one criterion regarding worth. Numerous criteria are employed to assess a program's worth. Program participants, not outside evaluators, consider the program's quality. Everyone affected by the program can make judgments about it. Another one is intrinsic versus payoff. Intrinsic evaluators study the curriculum plan separately. Their evaluation criteria are not usually operationally defined. Instead, the evaluators are merely trying to answer the question, how good is the curriculum? While in the payoff approach, once the curriculum's basic worth has been assessed, evaluators must examine the effect of the delivered curriculum. This is payoff. Still in intrinsic approach, evaluators study the particular content include the way it is sequenced, its accuracy, the types of experiences suggested for dealing with the content, and the types of materials to be employed. While in payoff approach, the outcomes are operationally defined. Evaluators can consider the curriculum's effect on students, teachers, parents, and perhaps administrators. Still in intrinsic approach, they assume that if a curriculum plan has accurate content and a firm basis for its particular organization, it will effectively stimulate students' learning. This, but in payoff approach, this evaluation approach may involve judgment regarding the differences between pre and post test and between experimental group and control group test on one or more criteria parameters. That's all. Thank you so much.